Marcin,
what are we recording today?
Today I invite you to a fantastic podcast with our guest. I'll be having a conversation with Jens Bo Thorsager, who is the founder and visionary behind Elvedal, a company renowned for its innovative playground designs. We'll be discussing with him the unique and thoughtful Scandinavian approach to designing and building truly amazing, inspiring and inclusive playgrounds for children and communities.
It's probably because the playgrounds in Poland in schools are not existing. The risk is always good, because if you don't know how to handle risk, then you'll take stupid decisions when you grow up. Then you don't know if it's a good idea to take drugs or if to go over the highway or something like that. Every school in Scandinavia have a playground. If you should do something good for your kid, then don't take it in your car and bring them to school. Put them on the bicycle and let them bike to school, because when they arrive at school, then they have been physically active, and then they're ready to learn at the school, and it gives them a better ability.
Hey Bo.
Hey Marcin.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
I'd like to talk about schools and playgrounds in Denmark with you today.
That's a good idea.
If you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Do you know, just a question, what Polish pupils hear from the teachers more often?
No.
Don't run, don't shout,
Yeah.
be quiet. Why do you think it's like that? And how do you think we should change this by maybe proposing good spaces for kids?
Yeah. I think it's probably because the playgrounds in Poland in schools are not existing that much. It's typical open areas, so the kids have nothing to do, so they shout and they run and they do things like this, and it's a good idea because it's their natural way of behaving. So I think that the kids are not doing anything wrong. It's probably the schoolyard that's wrong.
So we shouldn't stop them?
We shouldn't stop them.
But we should provide something instead.
Yes. I think that
some alternative.
When we look at the kids, they come from the kindergartens. They have been very free in the way they're playing, and they're very open-minded, and they're very creative, and they sort of just taking the world in. They're probably close to nature. They are reacting as a natural human being when they come into the school. And the school system is actually very unnaturally for the kids to come into, because they should be sitting down for the whole day. And that's not natural. So when they have this time off, they come out and then they just need to run and shout and do things like this. But it's also a good idea, because they need to react. They need to react when they come into the schools and have these activities.
But you said kids should have some space for their own invention, ideas.
Yes.
Isn't it too risky? How is the idea of, for instance, taking some risky activities?
Yes. I think we are living in a time where kids become a project for the parents. And this means that they're curled, like you do curling, and then you prepare all roads for the kids, and you put them into something that's very safe for them, so they don't know what risk is. They don't know what fear is. They don't know how to interpret with each other, learn each other to know, and so on. So today we have a lot of kids that's packed too much in, and it's by the parents, but it's also by the schools. And we see that the parents are coming to the schools and complaining about things in the school, where it should be just naturally that the kids are exposed to each other and to conflicts and this kind of thing. So when the kids are in the schoolyard, it's actually one of the only places where the kid can be kid and meet other kids, and there they can develop their human ability to work together and to know what's wrong or right, and to look into fears and this kind of thing. So the schoolyard is very important for the holistic development of the child.
So you say if we create a controlled situation,
yes,
the risk is.
The risk is always good, because if you don't know how to handle risk, then you'll take stupid decisions when you grow up. then you don't know if it's a good idea to take drugs or if to go over the highway or something like that. But if you have known risk from the very early childhood and you're working with the risk, if it's okay to climb up a tree, and if I climb up a tree, how dangerous is it? Should I hold on to the tree, or what should I do when I climb up in it, and so on. And all of us have been falling and hitting our knees or breaking an arm and all this kind of thing. And nothing's wrong with breaking an arm because it can grow together again. But the risk should not be that big that the child is losing its life.
You can break your arm everywhere.
Yeah, everybody can break an arm.
Especially on a bike.
Yeah. I have a nephew, he broke his arm by falling out of his bed. So, 40 centimeters. So
exactly, it may happen.
Yeah, it might happen.
Okay, but as far as I understand, older kids, they need a little bit more risk, and younger kids need a little bit less kids, and it should be better controlled. So how is it in Scandinavia? I mean, that you build playgrounds for different groups of kids separately or at the same playground? Yeah,
I think this talk about risk, just to take this one, there's a Norwegian science working with risk and how to handle risk in play situation, and that's actually why we call it risky play, that we need to challenge the kids, and the challenge should be different in these age groups. So a smaller age group should have less challenges than the older one. So when we look at the play equipment for the oldest, it's typical parkour systems that you can climb up. They're jumping in 2 meters height from one concrete wall to the next one, and so on. But for the smaller one, it's smaller risk and it's a lower height, and it's more calm for them because the risk in this height it's much more big for a smaller
So the
kid.
risk, this is quite an interesting ingredient that is quite common in Scandinavia.
Yes.
What else is original, unique, and different at Nordic playgrounds when you compare them to the rest of Europe?
I think that when we look at the typical playground, it's you place the houses, and then what's left around the houses is for the playground. And a lot of the school that's built, there's just an open space, and there's no trees, there's no vegetation or anything. There's no play equipment. There's just tarmac ground, and they can just be running and shouting and beating each other, the kids. And it's not a good place to develop. So it's much more nice to have a playground where it's smaller spaces, so it's smaller rooms where the kid can lean back and they can do some activities. They can be in smaller groups. They don't need to be together with the 15 years old if I'm 6 years old, because they're very dangerous for 6 years old in their mind.
To be at the same.
So therefore we split the school up typically in, if it's possible, in the preschool, so it's the start of the school, and it's from this 6 years old until 9 years old typically, and it can be a little different from school to school. But in this beginning of the school age, it's actually very much the same play as we use in the kindergartens, because it's very much about that they can sit and play sand, for instance. A lot of kids like to do this, and this is a way of being creative and sit, and they use the tactile
just to
senses.
spend time together.
And it's also to build things and create things, and so it's very creative. It's also play equipment like the small play towers or houses like this, so they can continue the play that they have in the kindergarten into the school, because it's still what we call role play. I'm a teacher, you are the student, or I'm driving my car and filling it up with gas and so on. So this kind of role where they interfere with each other and learn about looking at the grown-ups and see how they are, and then they use the same things they're seeing between mom and dad and other persons, and they use it between each other and set up this kind of play. And this kind of play is involving a lot in this 6 to 9 years old. And then the kids are moving on in the next stage. And the next stage is actually on one side a very good stage, because it's the golden age for developing the body. So which
age?
It's from the 9 years until 9, 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's very good to start sports, for instance. So they go typical to start using some sports, and they're becoming quite good at it because their ability, even have had a lot of motorical training in the beginning, is good in this age, so they can really expose themselves into a lot of sports.
Yeah, and this is my next question, because in Poland, for instance, we've got a problem with a lack of public spaces designed specially for teenagers.
Yeah.
So when kids move to the next stage, for instance, 9, 10 up, they don't have the space to play.
I think it's important when
they just sit in front of the computer or do some other things, but they don't socialize, they don't meet.
When we look into this tween age, going from being a child into being a teenager, the whole mind is being rebuilt, and I think that this is a huge rebuilding of the body from have been a child into being a grown-up. So in this age, there's a lot of challenges for the kids, and they see a lot of new social possibilities. They see more of their friends and making social relationship, and they probably take some distance to the parents and had a natural conflict with the parents in this age.
And take more risk.
And probably take more risk. But they also sort of gather in new groups because they're getting ready to get away from the nest, and therefore they socialize in another matter. So it's very much to look at another sex. I'm a boy, you are a girl, and then just show how strong I am, because it's part of the physical development that they're sort of showing each other to be brave and to do things like this.
So some fitness.
So fitness equipment is a very good thing, because they can develop their physical skills and
use the excess of energy.
Yes,
somewhere.
And it's also to build in other things that's not looking like a play equipment, because it's not cool to still be playing when you're becoming a teenager. So it needs to be more hanging out to be cool. We can sit up in something that's a climbing system, but you're just sitting and hanging out in it and rocking, and therefore you're training your motorical skills, but it's a natural way of doing it. Yeah. So these teenagers, we can easily do a lot for them and use this hanging out zones. We can make table tennis where they can play to each other, and this also happens in this age group, that they go in the play is very open-minded, and then when they come to the sports, it's very much rule-orientated. So this about following rules is a lot of what happens in the school also. When we're at school, we have some rules. When we do maths, it's this rule and this rule and this rule, and then you have the result. And the same is it when they do sports. When they do sports, it's also a lot of rules. When they play football, then you cannot run and take the ball or do things like this. So there's a lot of rules that the kids need to learn and fit into.
But I can imagine the spaces for teenagers are larger, and you don't have to have so many of them, because teenagers can just get to them themselves.
I think
easily. They don't need to be so close.
No, they build relationship. So they meet each other and build a relationship, and they probably also come across age. So it's okay to be together with a 9-year. That's one from 9th grade, if I'm from 8th grade, and so on. So
so we have learning by taking risk. Yeah. We've got separate playgrounds for different groups of kids.
Yes.
So what else is unique behind Scandinavian approach to playgrounds, which is so different when compared to, for instance, the rest of Europe?
Yeah. We have had in the Nordic market, we have actually a lot of science who is looking into what's happening to kids in this school age, and there's a lot of interesting analyses. One of them is from Sweden, where they tested 1.5 million soldiers. And this shows that the more physical active you are, the more trained you are, the more ready you are to learn. So your IQ is actually higher. You're better at doing things if you are physical active. And this what's actually happening is that when you're training, then in your brain the neurons are connecting more. So when the neuron in the brain is connecting, then it's improves your readiness to learn. So if you should do something good for your kid, then don't take it in your car and bring them to school. Put them on the bicycle and let them bike to school, because when they arrive at school, then they have been physical active, and then they're ready to learn at the school, and it gives them a better ability. But this also a chance for us in the school time to break it up and not just having, by the board education, but having the kids out and doing something active. So we try in the classes to take the kids out and being physical active and do education at the same time. And we try to take the playground and make it a part of the place where we can do education. So instead of just standing in a classroom in front of the board, we are actually taking the education outside and then doing some kind of training outside on the outdoor room. And therefore we have developed a lot of different kind of activities that can be done on the playground, and it can be, for instance, in physics, that you train what is rotation and speed on a carousel, for instance. So this kind of taking geometric out on the play equipment, a climbing system, then you can see how angles are and measure room and get a feeling of this, for instance. So we try to take the classroom outside, and we try to make the kids more physically active. In the beginning of the school age, we are doing a lot of focus on the motorical skills. The motorical skills is important in the sense of learning to read. So when the kids are starting in school and they need to learn to read, then we can see if they have low motorical skills, it's very difficult for them to learn to read. Okay. And on the other way around, if you're training the motorical skills, then they have a higher ability to learn to read. So it's important that we train the motorical skills. And the motorical skills is divided into three. It's the tactile sense, so it's what we are touching when we are feeling at things. It's the roundabout sense, and it's called vestibular sense, and it's when you're turning around. So this comes from carousels and swings and trampolines and this kind of things. So when you're shaking your body, then you're training this vestibular skills. And the third one is what we call the kinesthetic sense, and it's the climbing skills. So when you're climbing, you're actually using your body and getting to know your body in the room that you're in. So this being in control of your body is very important to develop. And when we develop this control of your body, then the magic is happening, that it's easier in the classroom when you're learning to read. So there's some fantastic things happening here.
But to provide all those activities in one playground, it needs to, some knowledge is required.
Yeah.
How schools create the playgrounds? Do they have some competence, or they consult experts? How does it look like?
That's where we come in, because we as a company have a lot of experience in developing playgrounds, and we have been working together with these science on how to get it into the playground. What kind of equipment should we develop? How to develop the room so it can be a nice room to be in, not too big, not too small, and so on. So this knowledge about how to plan a playground, we have a lot about. What's important for us is that we have a very good connection with the school and teachers, because if we don't learn them how to use the playground afterwards, then they just continue standing in the classrooms. So we need to do some exercises to get them out on the playground and show them that this is possible now, and then they need to take it from there. So then we need to have the responsibility by the teachers that they take the kids out. And we have very good examples where school teachers have been working with this. They typical, if you're standing at a board and doing some teaching, and then people are falling asleep, or not falling asleep, they're just being lazy. Then you make a break from the teaching. You take them out, and we make a power break, and it's like 5 minutes where they run up towards the climbing system or down again, or on a balancing jungle lane or something like this, and come into the class again. And sometimes the teachers just do it on one single. Okay, I can see you are falling asleep, then take a trip around in the playground and come back again. So this power breaks makes that the kids are becoming from being lazy into being ready for the learning again. And we also see teachers that takes out the education into the playground. And I've seen one teacher setting up a German lesson in a play equipment. So they are standing up in the climbing system, and then they were learning some grammar on German. So they should learn it up in the equipment. They should come down again to the teacher and tell them what they have learned, go up again and backward and forward and so on. So this using your body in education is very interesting, because if you connect your body just only by your ears and your by seeing, but also using the other senses, then it's sort of stuck in you, so you know it some more.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream, like a Scandinavian dream. Do every school in Scandinavia have playgrounds?
Yes.
What is the situation?
Every school in Scandinavia have a playground, and it's invested a lot of money in playgrounds in Scandinavia. And I think that I have been at schools where we 10 years every year have done a new playground, because they can see that it's working for them.
But where the money come from? Because that is quite expensive, and the playgrounds are really huge.
Yeah. We pay a lot in tax in Scandinavia, you know. So actually, it's public funding.
So that's public money.
Yeah, it's public. It's coming from the commune, and they're sending money to the schools. The private schools is also getting a lot of money, because there's a model where you just the money that's costing on the public school is following the kid. So if you take your kid from the public school into a private school, then the money is following to the private school. And on the private school, there'll also be some parents paying something, so they have extra money. So the private schools is having a lot of money, and that's probably one of the most interesting segments when we talk into this.
Okay. Okay, that was the schooling system, and how schools invest in playgrounds, and how much playgrounds are important. What are the main ingredients of a perfect Scandinavian playground? But let's talk about schools themselves, and also about pupils, because in Poland many kids spend lots of time in front of the computer.
Yeah.
And this is the sign of our time, let's say. And it's very difficult to encourage them to leave the computer back home and go somewhere out.
I think every person's have conflicts with their kids about it.
That's a huge challenge. So how do you think we can encourage kids to go outside, to go outdoors, to play together, to socialize?
I think that every parent is having this challenge, because when they sit with the screen, they're getting so much attached to the screen, and you cannot get them away from the screen. So you can shout at your kids and say, "Yeah, just a minute."
And it's also attractive.
And it's so attractive, because what they put on the screen is for keeping them a long time on the screen. So they're trying to do things on the screen that's getting you to be.
But they also learn.
They also learn on the screen.
So.
But I think that what we see in Scandinavian market is lots of schools now forbid to have tablets, to have phones on the schools, and this means that they cannot sit around in their spare time and using the phones or a tablet or something like that. So it's actually not allowed, and therefore the kids need to coming out, and they need to see each other. And we never do electronic playgrounds, because we think that what happens on the screens or the tablet is much more advanced than what we can offer on a playground. So what we actually try to do instead of is that this is the place where they meet each other in physical, because on the screen they meet each other like some imaginal and fantastic things, and how it is to be perfect and so on. And on the playground or in the schoolyard, they see each other as human beings. So this is actually where we are active and we see each other, and it's very important.
That's actually the real life.
That's a real life, yeah. And that's much more important than what's happening on the screen. So we don't see any problems on having the kids playing on the playground on the schoolyard. We see more that they really enjoy being out on the playground, because they don't have the tablet.
How we can design the areas, the playgrounds, to encourage people to go outside? What elements do they need to include? Because sitting in front of the computer or staying home is so tempting.
It's we have a design model how do we do playgrounds on schoolyards, and what's important for us is to understand the user group. So therefore the age groups is important. It's important if there's some disabilities, some handicaps, some things that we need to build in. It's also important if they have some diagnosis, some of the kids, how can we handle this? Because they should not be having the same play equipment as other kids, because some of them likes to be by themselves and so on. I made a schoolyard where kids could sit on a swing, and they were sitting there all day. So every time they're free, they was just sitting on a swing. And it was not nice to see, but it was good for the kid because they had their own time on the swing.
They kind of relaxing,
yeah, and their own rhythm and so on, so they could just sit here because being social was too much for them. So every kid. So we need to understand the user group. That's one part of it. Then we need to understand the context. This is the school. What is the situation? What kind of area do we have for it? Is there some nature close to it? Is there some other terrain rising or falling? If there are things like this, then we can use it. So we let the kids run into the forest. We let them run in the grass. We let them run up and down if it's possible. We actually did a schoolyard where we made small hills between the buildings. So every time a kid came out, they sort of running up and down, and it's good for the ankles. So they're training the ankles so you don't get damages when they go to sports. So this by making small detours for the kids where it's interesting for them, making small rooms is very important. So everything is used actually. It's not like just a big schoolyard in the middle. We're trying to split that one up, and then we try to use all small areas so the kids can hang out. And it's not all kids that needs to be socialized between the teaching hours. So some of them need to lean back and have their own time. So it's also important there's some places where they can withdraw from the big mess and have their own small community.
But you mentioned going out. You mentioned forest.
Yeah.
If I think Scandinavia, I think nature.
Yeah.
Lakes. Yeah. Forest.
Yeah.
Endless spaces, also spaces of grass, like for instance Jutland. Lakes like Finland. So nature is inborn in Scandinavian life.
Yes.
Deeply.
Yes.
And could you please tell me how you treat nature in terms of creating playgrounds and spaces for kids? Is it an important element on how you see it?
I think today there's a huge focus on the climate changes and a huge focus on nature that way around, and also about a lot of species that's removed from the planet because they're dying out and so on. So this biodiversity is very important, and it's something that they work a lot on in the schools, how to handle biodiversity so the kids are getting a feeling for it. And therefore, the nature for every human being is important. It's not just something for the kids, but for all of us. So if we are stressed at work, then the best thing we can do is to go home, take the dog, go for a walk. And if we take this walk half an hour out to the nature, then we get in touch with the nature and we calm down. And we are ready for the next thing. So it's a very good idea to have the nature close to our home, close to where we are, and something that we meet every day. And the nature by itself is fantastic. You just take a small leaf and look at it. And the way it's created, the way it's looking, you can draw it, you can do a lot of things, you can feel it. It's fantastic to see what's in the nature and become close to the nature. So therefore, we take many natural elements and place it on the playground. So for us, it's good to place a tree. It gives some shadow, so it's just not be in the middle of the sun, but also nice to be in the shadow, or sitting in the shadow, or playing in the shadow. Or if you have a sand pit, then it's nice that also shadow here and so on.
But to create the nature from scratch in the playground, or maybe you incorporate playgrounds into the existing nature places?
Both. So if there is a nature today, then typically the trees are not to be touched, for instance, because it takes a lot of years for them to come up.
Like that.
So the trees we try to use, and then we try to fit in between the trees and fit in between the nature. It's not that we are not touching the nature, but we should just be close to the nature and using the nature. So it's a natural thing of the playground.
And what about natural materials? Because this is also a part of the nature.
Touching
wood, touching steel, there are different
there's some advances and disadvantages in everything, but one of the nicest thing, and what we see very much for kindergartens, is natural wood is used because it's very nature, and the kids in these small groups, they put soil in their mouth and you touch the nature in another sense. So it's very good to make play equipment that's close to the nature because it's so natural for them. When we look at the school age, we also use a lot of nature, wood and nature thing. When you come up in the age group, it's probably becoming more urban, so it's going to be more steel elements. So it's not that we don't do steel elements, but we just also do wooden elements as a part of it, wooden furnitures and so on.
So we have also the nature as an important ingredient of Scandinavian playgrounds.
Yeah.
From your perspective, can a well-designed playground help shape specific attitudes among children?
Yes.
Does it influence kids, for instance, and change kids? And they change their thinking, or
I think that when we do this smaller rooms for the kids, they will gather in smaller rooms and we'll see less conflicts, because what's not good in the playground is a lot of conflicts. When we are developing a playground together with a school, we typically have a lot of kids in, and then we do a workshop together with the kids to figure out what's important for them. And this is very much about clearing the context, what is important for this school. And the funny thing is that we as an adult think that they're going to take a nice play equipment, because of course they'll like to have a zip line or a high slide or something like that. But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about conflicts, how they can become better to each other, and all these kind of things. So actually this about making the good rooms, having close to nature, having some places they can withdraw from the big mess and so on, is very important for the kid.
How can we bring education to playgrounds? Because those two things, I think, should be connected somehow.
Yeah. I think that this way of sitting by a table, that's not necessary for learning. So therefore, it's just to make some platforms they can sit on. It's probably some platform that's in different levels. It can be this amphi scenes, so that you can be standing making a theater play or something like that. I did at one time a schoolyard where it was falling down. So we actually did the playgrounds in steps up, like plateaus. And then in the bottom, we had the scene. So when the whole school and the parents were there, they could have like 500 persons on the playground sitting and seeing the theater at the bottom of it. So it's just to get how can we use this area? How can we get most out of it? And everybody can sit on a swing and looking at a theater play or a climbing system. So
playing and learning.
Playing and learning, and it's also nice that you can, when some of us likes to touch things while we are sitting here, because we need to have something in our hands. And if you're doing it at the playgrounds, they can also be sitting and swinging and holding the rope and things like this. So.
And I've got a personal question for you as well.
Yeah.
You are a company owner.
Yeah.
You set up a company doing very well in playground business for 15 years.
Yeah.
Or even more.
Yeah.
But did you have any mission? Did you have some other things you followed besides some financial things?
Yeah. I think when we started up, we thought that the playground industry was just boring coloring strings made in steel and plastic. And therefore we tried to do something that was different from the market. So we hired in architects, and we put in design as a very important element. So everything that we do, we try to design it, we try to pack it in, so it's going to be a nice room to be in. And at the architectural school and design school, they're working a lot with how our emotions are around the things that we are meeting. So if we are meeting nice things, we are also behaving nice. If we are in a schoolyard and the things are looking nice, then I don't like to be spraying on it or tacking it or something like that. Then I'll behave. And I think that we can see that this is happening. Also when we do the installations, instead of just shouting at the kids if they're coming too close, then we talk to the kids. It's dangerous to be close to the machines. Please go here or something like that. So often we can actually do it without fencing, because we just talk to the kids and make small lines.
So just notice a niche?
Yes.
You just wanted to bridge the gap?
Yes.
By a new approach, a new company?
Yeah.
New designs?
I think that when we started up, we were trying not to sell a swing or a simple product. We tried to sell a solution. And that was our big success, because we started out hiring an architect, making total solutions. And then the school manager looked at us, okay, these guys know what they're doing. So they just leaned on us and said, here's the budget, please do the best you can. So that was a very good way for us to start the business, because we came into very close to the customer and we had some very good references. So when one school had got a playground, the next school looked at it and said, oh, we also like to have this one.
So you were experts.
We were
from
experts,
the very beginning,
yeah.
and you had competence.
Yeah. Or we developed them.
Yes. How do you see the future of playgrounds?
I think that the Scandinavian model is, I can see that it's attractive in other countries. That when we come to Poland, we had just had the study tour for architects. They're very interested in the way we are looking and how we are doing it. So I think that a lot of other countries will probably be looking into the Scandinavian model. But it's probably not going to be the Scandinavian model. It's going to be the Polish model, influenced by something. And everything that's happening in the world is influenced by something. So we can probably do some influence on the schoolyards around the world, because we have some experiences and we have been working on it. So I think that we have a huge potential by bringing this way of working into other countries. And that's what we can do together with Buglo.
So Scandinavian approach prevails, and that's something we should follow.
I'm sure it do.
Develop.
Yeah, and develop. And we also see that there's huge interest from California, for instance. They also look at the Scandinavian model and say, this is a very good way of doing, and we'd like to do something similar. And 3 years ago, I was in San Francisco, and I saw playgrounds where they're trying to do the Scandinavian way. But in US, they're just going it all the way. So I was just looking and saying, oh, that's amazing, how much they fill into it and how good it is. So I think that we have probably started some trend, and then it's going to grow a lot of other places. And that's very interesting.
But I've got the last question for you yet.
Yes.
As an expert.
Yeah.
And company director.
Yeah.
For many years present in Danish, Scandinavian, playground world. What 3 tips could you give people who want to build attractive and valuable playgrounds nowadays?
Yeah, I think that you need to see, you need to, as a school manager, find the right partner. And that's the most important thing, that you find a company that you can lean up upon. And this means that there's some company that had got a lot of knowledge about other playgrounds for schools. Also have been in processes where they have been developing this playground together with the school. So it's actually to find the right partner as the first one. The next one is to set up the right process, because it's a big investment for the school. So they're not going to do it this many times, but when they do the investment, then it needs to be something that they're integrated with. So we need to have some kind of consultants process where we together with the school, the teachers, the kids, working together about finding out what's most important for them. So this is about the context, to understand the kids. So when we understand the kids and we know what is important for the school, then we can go back and we can do a design. And the design proposal will be the next thing. So the design proposal is, of course, what we as consultants look when we have had this process. But it's also important that we go back to the school and say, this is what we propose. And when we propose something, it's not the final solution. This is something that they can criticize. They can say, I don't like this, I like this more, or I think that this is too close here, or things is happening here, on conflicts here, or we're having a wagon coming in here. So this process in design, by taking it to the client, having it back again, backward and forward sometime until we have the final proposal.
So communication?
Communication and development, because it's not something that you just make a tender, I need a new swing. It's something in the process where we're finding each other, finding the right solution for the right place. And then, of course, in the end, it's also about that the supplier is delivering the right product, and it's delivered at the right time and in the right quality and all this kind of thing. So when we are at the other end of it, it should be that the school feels that this is our playground, because it's never an Elverdal or Buglo playground. It's actually the customer's playground. So they need to own it. And this process for us, by interacting with the client, is so important for getting the right solution.
So invite them to the creating process.
Yes, it's very important that we have this iterative process backward and forward together with the client to find a solution.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was very nice to host you here.
It was nice to
today,
be here. Yeah.
And talk about playgrounds and not only.
Yeah, we like to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcin.